Incredible discovery, Billionaire exposes heartwarming truth behind poor girl's plea to save her playground. Emily Johnson stood at the edge of her cherished playground, her heart racing. The swings squeaked softly in the evening breeze, the sun casting long shadows over the worn slides and rust-colored monkey bars. For Emily, this playground was more than a place to play, it was a sanctuary. A symbol of hope for the kids in her town, kids like her who dreamt big despite knowing how tough life could get. With her mother working double shifts to keep food on the table, Emily took it upon herself to protect this space. Every day after school, she slipped on her gloves and collected litter, discussing climate change with friends to spark their interest in protecting their playground and their planet. She had a dream to be an environmental scientist. But now, with budget cuts threatening the park's closure, her resolve shattered the silence like a thunderclap. Driven by desperation, she crafted a heartfelt social media post that urged everyone to help save the playground. "Please," she typed, "this is where we laughed, played, and made memories. We can't let it disappear." Little did she know her words would reach billionaire philanthropist Jack Morris. Known as a man with a hard heart yet an eye for viral fame, Jack initially saw Emily's post as mere publicity bait. But something about a brave girl's plea pulled at the edges of his curiosity. When Jack arrived in town, he expected the usual hype, but what he found was Emily, a girl whose spirit was more powerful than he could have imagined. The playground buzzed with laughter despite the clouds of uncertainty looming overhead. Emily's classmates rallied around her, their faces painted with determination. Jack noticed the fierce loyalty of the townspeople. They weren't just fans of Emily, they were a family drawn together by shared challenges, struggles, and dreams. As Jack stood there, listening to their stories, he felt a crack in his usual indifference. What was this bond they shared? After all he'd heard about resilience from his high-rise office but never truly seen, he began to re-examine what justice really meant. Then, suddenly, his past collided with the present. A family secret surfaced, shattering his composure. He was not the untouchable billionaire he thought he was, he had lost too, and it hit him hard. As the stakes rose, Emily saw someone stripped of the arrogance that wealth brought. Here was a man wrestling with his identity, and for the first time, she felt she could reach him. An intersection of dreams and realities sparked between them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jack considered lending a hand, their eyes met, a fleeting moment that left them both breathless. What would his choice be? Would he transcend the barriers of his past, rise to the occasion, and stand with Emily? Or would fear keep him shackled to his old ways? Both faced a wilderness of vulnerability, brimming with the unpredictable potential for change. Would they join forces to uplift not just a playground, but the entire community, or would hesitation keep them apart? The tension hung in the air, loaded with possibilities. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Emily could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Jack was standing just a few feet away, his expression a mix of uncertainty and contemplation. She could sense that her plea had reached him, but would he act on it? She swallowed hard, not sure what to say next. The air was charged with anticipation, not just from her urgency, but from the silent hopes of her friends and neighbors watching from the sidelines. Everyone knew this wasn't just about saving the playground, it was about standing up against a system that overlooked them. "Mr. Morris," she finally said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "This playground means everything to us. It's where we grow, where we learn about teamwork and nature. If you help us save it, you won't just be saving a place, you'll be saving our spirit." Jack shifted his weight, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "I can see this park matters to you and to everyone here. But why should I care? Emily's stomach churned. She didn't have a spare moment to create a convincing argument, she had to make him see the value behind the concrete and swings. Because it's not just a park. It's a community. Look around. She gestured to the small crowd, faces lit with hope, rejuvenated by the mere possibility of change. A soft breeze rustled the leaves overhead. Jack's gaze moved over the children, their laughter a stark contrast to the heavy silence that filled the space between him and Emily. Was it all just noise to him? You have everything, don't you? Emily continued boldly. But what about us? We're just trying to make something out of nothing. Something flickered in Jack's eyes, an echo of understanding, perhaps a reminder of his own childhood. He struggled with this pull, wanting to protect the image he created on his path to success, yet yearning for the connection he felt in this moment. He remembered what had been lost, how lonely success could feel when there was no one to share it with. I'll think about it, he finally said, almost as if delivering an oath. But even as he spoke, he could already feel emotions stirring deep within him. Jack wasn't used to thinking about others, it was always about business strategy or power plays. The thought of standing up for something as pure as a child's playground was foreign, yet enticing. Emily's heart soared. If we can rally the community together, there's so much we could do. We could even get kids involved in the restoration. Parents could help with cleanup days. Thanks to people like you, we could show that the community matters. As she spoke, Jack noticed a glimmer of hope in Emily's eyes, an unyielding spirit that sparked something deep within him. There was a beauty in her resilience, a fire he thought he'd buried long ago. But with that hope came anxiety. He had financial power, but influence? That was a different beast altogether. What if he rallied his wealth and connections only to face rejection from people who saw him as just another rich outsider? Emily must have read some of his apprehension, because she added softly, if you want to make a difference, you can. Just take that first step. Jack nodded slowly, weighing her words. The world felt different somehow, as though new paths were opening that he never considered. Could he learn to open his heart again? The question hung in the fading light, a silent agreement forged in the uncertainty. Just as the twilight enveloped the playground, their destinies seemed destined to intertwine. With his internal battle raging, Jack glanced at Emily. I'll be back tomorrow. What if you don't? She ventured. I won't let fear hold me back, he declared suddenly, and the room seemed to exhale. Energized by mutual resolve, they both stood tall, facing an uncertain future together. Neither could shake the feeling that the playground, once just a place of childhood memory, would soon be a battleground for something bigger than themselves. But as Jack walked away, the lingering doubt clung to him. Would he truly find the courage to follow through? Emily watched him go, hope battling with uncertainty inside her. She knew they stood at the edge of something profound, but would they leap together, or would they falter in the face of doubt? The sun set completely, leaving them both shrouded in darkness, yet illuminating the path ahead. The next morning dawned with a thick fog, shrouding the neighborhood in a misty veil. Emily stood at the playground, her heart fluttering. She had been awake half the night, imagining the possibilities of a future where the laughter of children filled the air again. It was still early, and the world felt suspended in anticipation, much like her own nerves. Would Jack come back? She had clung to his promise, her thoughts racing. A part of her wished for reassurance that they could indeed make a difference, that their community could band together and reclaim what was rightfully theirs. As she paced nervously, the first rays of sunlight broke through the haze, illuminating the dirt path that twisted through the playground. She could hear the distant sounds of birds chirping, a comforting reminder that life still thrived in the shadows of uncertainty. A few familiar faces drifted into view. It was Maria, an elderly woman from down the street, walking her tiny dog. "Good morning, dear," Maria called, her cheeks rosy despite the chill in the air. "Is the hero coming today?" Emily smiled nervously. "I hope so. He promised to think about it." Maria nodded knowingly. "You have to believe, Emily. Sometimes it's the smallest voices that make the biggest changes. With a grateful smile, Emily felt a rush of warmth. She was beginning to understand that the real strength of their community wasn't just in raising funds or securing a budget. It was in the spirit that spread between them, the determination to stand together. Just then, she spotted a figure approaching in the distance. It was Jack, his silhouette gradually becoming clearer as he stepped into the morning light. Emily's breath caught in her throat. He looked different, somehow less like a corporate titan and more like a person searching for belonging. "Good morning," he greeted, rubbing his hands together as if to ward off the chill. "I wasn't sure you would come," she admitted, her heart pounding. "I thought about it all night." He looked at her earnestly, a flicker of vulnerability shining in his eyes. "I realize that the playground means something to you, and it should mean something to me too." Emily could hardly contain her excitement. "So, what are we going to do?" She jumped in before he could change his mind. "I want to organize a community meeting," he said, "but I need your help to reach out. I want to hear from everyone, families, kids. We need their voices." "Absolutely. We can gather everyone tonight." Emily's mind raced at how quickly they could mobilize. This was it. A chance to connect with the heart of her community and show Jack what they were capable of when they came together. As they spoke, the fog began to lift, revealing the vibrant colors of the playground that had once been dulled by neglect. Jack's eyes sparkled with determination. He wasn't just visiting a playground, he was stepping into a world he had nearly forgotten. But just as they began to brainstorm ideas, Tommy, a timid boy who often played at the swings, approached them holding a crumpled paper in his tiny hands. I want to help too," he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Can I be part of the meeting?" Jack knelt beside him, genuinely moved. "Of course, you can, Tommy. Everyone's voice matters here. You have ideas?" Tommy nodded, eyes wide with excitement. "I want to bring my friends. We can make posters." His innocent enthusiasm filled the air with hope. As they began to plan, a sense of purpose enveloped them. Emily knew they were no longer just fighting for a playground, they were reigniting the spirit of a community that had long been dormant. But even amidst this newfound energy, a question lingered in Emily's mind: could they really transform not just the park, but the very trust and relationships that had been quietly deteriorating all along? As the children and families began to arrive, a sense of belonging wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Jack felt a connection growing, a part of him that was eager to embrace this. However, doubts gnawed at him. Would he be accepted in a world so unlike his own? Together, under the brightening sky, Emily and Jack prepared for their community meeting, each aware that today's gathering could lead to something far beyond a simple playground restoration. Could they truly become the catalysts for something genuine and lasting? The question hung in the air, filled with possibilities and unspoken fears, as they exchanged glances filled with unshakable resolve. As the sun climbed higher, the playground buzzed with energy. Families and children poured in, each face a mix of curiosity and hope. Emily felt a surge of pride as she glanced around at the gathering crowd. This was more than just a meeting, it was a manifesto, a declaration of intent from a community long overshadowed by doubt. Jack stood nearby, adjusting the small makeshift stage they had set up. He kept glancing at Emily, his expression a mix of determination and apprehension. She sensed his nerves. They were stepping into uncharted territory, and doubts rippled beneath his confident exterior. "Are you ready?" Emily asked, smoothing a wrinkle in her shirt. Jack looked at her, a flicker of concern crossing his face. "I just hope they trust me," he admitted quietly. "They will," she reassured him. "You're here for them. That's what matters." As the clock struck 6, looking out over the crowd, Emily took a deep breath, positioned next to Jack, who coughed slightly to clear his throat. The chatter faded as parents settled their children and turned their eyes to the front. "Thank you all for coming," Emily began, her voice steady yet warm. We're here today because this playground means more to us than just swings and slides. It represents our community and the future we want to build for our children. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. She felt the support surrounding her, igniting a fire inside. Jack has some ideas on how we can work together to revive this space, she continued, glancing at him encouragingly. And I know that together we can make this change happen. Jack stepped forward, his nerves dispersing as he met the eyes of the community. Hello, everyone. I'm Jack, he started, his voice growing stronger. I know I'm new to this neighborhood, but I want to listen. I want to understand what this playground means to each of you. Your stories matter. A tall woman in the back raised her hand. What can a billionaire know about us? She challenged, her tone sharp but honest. Jack's expression didn't falter. You're right to question my intentions. But I am here to learn, not to dictate. This isn't about me, it's about all of us working together. I'm ready to hear your stories. The tension visibly eased. People leaned in closer, intrigued. One by one, voices began to rise, sharing thoughts about what the playground had represented in their own lives. Children recounted stories of birthday parties, first friendships, and summer afternoons that felt endless. Emily watched as Jack engaged with each story, his confidence blossoming with every shared memory. There was a palpable shift in the air, an undercurrent of connection that seemed to bridge the gap between their worlds. Just then, an energetic toddler squealed and ran past them, sending a circle of laughter rippling through the crowd. Jack couldn't help but smile, his earlier tensions dissolving. After an hour, as ideas poured forth about renovations, activities, and fun events, Emily was overcome by a sense of hope. They were no longer just individuals residing in the same neighborhood, they were a collective, like notes in a harmonious song. Jack turned to Emily. I didn't expect it to feel like this, he said, his voice low and sincere. I think I'm finally starting to grasp what you've all been missing. But as the meeting concluded and the crowd began to disperse, joy was intertwined with uncertainty. Emily felt the gravity of the shared moment, yet one thought nagged at her: what would it take for Jack to fully embrace this world and accept his place within it? As families left, she noticed Maria standing at the edge, watching with a dreamy expression. They came together today, they just might stay together, she whispered as Emily joined her. Do you really think so? Emily asked hopefully. Maria nodded. You all just need to believe that it's possible. With newfound determination, Emily turned to see Jack deep in conversation with Tommy, who was excitedly discussing flyer designs. But there was something more there, a vulnerability in Jack's voice, a hint of a challenge yet to come. In this moment of connection, a new potential stretched before them, waiting to be explored. What unanswered questions lay ahead? As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the light began to flicker, casting long shadows that hinted at the next chapter of their journey. What truths lay beneath the surface, waiting for them to discover? The following week unfolded with a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. Jack had committed to spending more time in the neighborhood, and plans were already in motion for a community gathering at the playground. Emily could feel a buzz of anticipation in the air, but beneath it, she sensed the fear of disappointment. What if the momentum fizzled out? As the day approached, Emily's thoughts spiraled. She glanced at her phone for updates. There were early messages from families confirming attendance and offers to bring food or organize games. This is it, she thought, the moment that could shape our future. That morning, she arrived at the playground to set up. A vibrant banner reading, Community Play Day, fluttered in the breeze. She placed colorful posters of children's drawings along the fence, brightening the dullness of the park's worn-out paint. Vibrancy, she thought, is what they needed. Soon, Jack arrived, carrying a box of supplies. Hey, I brought some more chairs and a few surprises, he grinned, his enthusiasm contagious. Surprises? Emily raised an eyebrow. Just wait and see, he chuckled, his eyes twinkling as he began to unpack. As families trickled in, the playground came alive with laughter and chatter. The sun poured down warmly, framing the scene like a hopeful painting. Children raced around, their giggles mixing with the adults' conversations. It was a perfect day. Amid the joyful chaos, Jack had arranged a small stage for community members to share their stories. Today, Emily felt a pull to speak too. With a quick wave of her hand to gather attention, she took a deep breath and stepped onto the small platform. "Thank you all for being here. Your presence makes this day special," she began, her voice carried by the wind. "We're here not only to play but to connect and share what this playground means to us." A father called out, "This isn't just playtime, it's life for our kids." Emily nodded and continued, "Exactly. We each contribute to this community in our own way. Let us hold on to that spirit as we bring life back to this place." As she spoke, a shiver of transformation rippled through the crowd. She noticed Maria standing nearby, eyes shining with pride, and Jack beamed, seemingly taken by the energy of the moment. Then it happened. A boy stepped forward, his face a mix of shyness and bravery. "Can I say something?" he asked, clutching a crumpled paper in his fist. "Of course." Emily smiled, motioning for him to come closer. He took a deep breath. "This playground is where I learned to ride my bike and where I made my best friends." His voice quivered slightly, but determination fueled his words. "If it goes away, I don't know where I'll ride or play." The crowd fell silent, considering his heartfelt plea. Jack's eyes softened as he listened intently. It was his turn to speak now, and Emily noticed his resolve gleaming in the sun's light. He stepped up beside the boy. "You're right," Jack said, kneeling down to the boy's level. "Every child deserves a space to grow and play. That's why we're all here. Together, we can make sure this playground stays no matter what." A wave of applause erupted. Families shouted their agreements, and the boy's face lit up with joy. But just as the celebration reached its peak, the sound of a voice cut through the air. "This isn't just about a playground." It was the tall woman from their previous meeting. The crowd shifted nervously, all eyes on her. "What happens when a storm comes? Can money really save us?" Jack's face darkened, caught in the balance of her question. The spark he had ignited with the boy was now doused in uncertainty. As the laughter began to subside, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Emily's heart raced. "Jack," she whispered, glancing up at him for reassurance, but he was lost in thought. What did that woman know that they didn't? As the crowd murmured, Emily felt a sense of impending realization wash over her. Would Jack find a way to confront that skepticism, or would this obstacle stop their progress cold in its tracks? The answers loomed, casting shadows that stretched long beyond their joyful afternoon. Emily felt the weight of the crowd's gaze pressing down on her and Jack. The tall woman's voice still echoed in her mind. What happens when a storm comes? It was a question that reached far deeper than the physical playground. It lingered, like a storm cloud inching closer on the horizon. The boy who had shared his heartfelt connection with the playground stood by Jack, his small figure caught in the unfolding tension. Suddenly, Emily felt a mix of anger and fear. Would this woman's doubts steal their moment? She looked to Jack for guidance. Surely he had an answer to dispel the worry hanging in the air. Jack took a step closer to the crowd, raising his hands to calm the murmurs. "Thank you for voicing your concerns," he said, his voice steady. "We can't ignore the realities we face. Yes, there will be challenges. Yes, it won't always be easy. But don't you think this playground deserves a fighting chance?" The crowd seemed to breathe in unison. Emily could feel a flicker of hope rekindling. It wasn't just about finances or storms, it was about a community that wanted to fight for what mattered to them. "I know we can't do this alone," Jack continued. "But look at all of us. Look at our children. This playground isn't just a space, it's the heart of our community. It's where we can nurture our future. Cheers erupted again. The tall woman's scowl faded somewhat, but skepticism still lingered in her eyes. And how do you plan to keep it safe when the storms come? She pressed, unwilling to back down. Jack took a moment, searching for the right words. Emily felt her chest tightening. He needed to evoke something powerful. By working together, he finally said, a fire igniting in his voice. We'll create programs, raise funds, and come up with plans to make this space resilient. Every dollar we gather isn't just for today, it's an investment in tomorrow. But that's just talk. Another voice shouted from the back, an older man with a furrowed brow. What if you can't deliver? Emily's heart sank at the doubt swirling among them. But then, something within her shifted. She had witnessed the bonds forming today, the voices uniting in laughter and shared stories. What if we all shared our own challenges? She proposed, stepping forward. Our dreams, our fears. Maybe then we can really see what we need to do. Encouraged by her own words, a ripple of murmurs began. I like that idea. Someone called out. Let us not just share our worries. Let us share our solutions. Jack said, his expression brightening. If we can gather enough ideas, we'll not only create a safety net for the playground, but we'll build a safety net for each other. Another voice chimed in, what if we set up community meetings, make plans we can all vote on? The energy among the crowd shifted again, blooming into hope. Elation washed over Emily. Each voice was a step forward, another point on the map they were charting together. Jack's gaze met Emily's, sparking a connection. Will you help me organize the first meeting? He asked quietly, as excitement swelled around them. Yes. Yes, I will. She replied, feeling a sense of purpose ignite inside her. They were all just pieces in this puzzle, each needing to fit together for it to make sense. Just then, a loud clap of thunder rolled across the sky, startling everyone. Raindrops began to fall, slowly at first, and then pouring down as if the clouds were echoing their tumult of doubt and hope. Emily looked up at the skies, her heart racing. The storm was here, and they had no choice now but to embrace it. Let us get everyone under shelter. Jack shouted over the increasing roar. The families began moving, laughter and ideas swirling even beneath the patter of rain. Emily could see determination in Jack's face as he grabbed the boy's hand and led him toward the nearby gazebo. Don't you see? Emily thought excitedly, this is just the beginning. But as the rain began to pour more heavily, so did Emily's realization that weathering this storm would take all of them united. Would they be able to stand strong together, or would the downpour wash away their hard-earned progress? The answer felt just out of reach. As she dashed forward, heart racing, she couldn't shake the fear that plagued her. What if their efforts crumbled in the storm's chaos? And then, with a crack of thunder louder than the rest, a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar silhouette. Emily squinted through the rain, the storm couldn't hide the recognition that rushed over her. It was an unexpected face from the past, and suddenly, everything felt like it was about to shift again. What would this figure bring to the unfolding story? Emily's breath hitched as she stepped closer, squinting against the sheets of rain. The figure moved through the downpour, revealing a tall man with dark hair clinging to his forehead. Her heart raced. It was David, her childhood friend, the one who had left town years ago for opportunities beyond their small community. She had heard whispers of his successes, of a life far removed from the struggles of their past. David? She shouted, her voice barely cutting through the storm's fury. As he drew near, his face illuminated by a nearby lamppost, she saw the familiar warmth in his eyes, now accompanied by a solemnity that made her anxious. He rushed towards her, his expression unreadable. Emily. He called back, concern etched in his features. I came as soon as I heard about the playground. It sounded like something special. Special doesn't begin to cover it, she replied, feeling the rain mixing with the adrenaline coursing through her. The crowd had gathered beneath the gazebo, still buzzing with ideas and hopes despite the weather. She could see Jack, his brow furrowed as he strategized in the downpour, but now her attention was completely on David. "Can we talk?" he asked urgently, his expression shifting to a more serious tone as he looked around. The laughter and cheers had been momentarily drowned out by the rain, and for a heartbeat, they stood there, locked in a shared memory of a playground that had once been the center of their childhood. "What are you doing here?" she pressed, the weight of their past pushing against her curiosity. "You've got a life in the city now." His eyes softening, he glanced back at the crowd gathered under cover. "I couldn't ignore the call for help. I remember how precious this place was to us. And I know it's more than a playground. It's a lifeline." A spark of hope flickered in her chest. Maybe he was here for more than nostalgia. "Do you have an idea?" she asked, a hopeful edge creeping into her voice. David hesitated, the shadow of doubt flitting across his face as the rain beat hard against their shoulders. "I have resources now. Connections that could help. But it's complex. The truth is, I owe it to my roots to contribute." Emily's heart raced at the thought of what his connections could mean for their fledgling efforts. "Everything we need is right here in our community," she shot back, glancing at Jack who was rallying the crowd. "But no, listen," David interrupted, his voice sharp with determination. "You're right, Emily. It starts with the community. But let me help you navigate the bureaucracy. We can't risk this playground's future. It's too important." In that moment, the storm raged on, but for Emily, the downpour felt different now. The rain was a cleansing force, washing away her doubt. "What do we do?" she asked, a sense of urgency igniting her soul. "Let us gather the community. Let them share their stories and challenges. I'll record them. We can frame our plea for support. If we show how vital this place is for everyone, they'll listen." As David spoke, she could see the wheels turning in his mind, the spark of ideas igniting between them. She nodded, the tension dissolving slightly, feeling a swell of excitement mix with the remnants of fear. "But are you prepared for the scrutiny? For people wondering why you care?" Emily asked, a challenge flaring in her chest. With a determined smile, David revealed something she hadn't expected. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Let us remind them that it's not just a playground. It's a sanctuary. It's where magic happens, and if we save it together, who knows what it can become." As the sound of laughter returned around them, a surge of possibility took root in her heart. They were on the brink of something meaningful. But would the community fully embrace David's return? And would they trust a man who had built a life outside their world? Just then, the rumble of thunder seemed to promise more than a storm. It echoed Emily's thoughts. What else could come crashing down as they tried to build back up? She had a feeling that the true test of their unity was just around the corner. The raindrops hammered down harder, the sound no longer just a backdrop but a rhythm that matched the pulse of Emily's heart. She glanced around, noting the faces in the crowd, looking for signs of encouragement or skepticism. There was Jack, still fervent in his mission, and a few families huddled together, deep in conversation about the playground's fate. Emily felt a spark of determination. David stood next to her, through a torrent of rain and doubts, ready to fight for something they both cherished. It was exhilarating, yet terrifying. What if this endeavor failed? What if the town wasn't as eager to support their dream as she hoped? "Okay," she said, her voice steady despite the storm. "Let us do it. We gather stories. We show them why this place matters." David nodded, an approving smile breaking through his seriousness. "Let us get the word out," he replied. "I'll put out feelers in my network. We can stage a community event next weekend, a place for everyone to come together and share. I'll bring people in who can help secure funding once we have those stories." Emily's chest tightened with excitement. "You really think it could work?" Absolutely, he said, conviction radiating from him. As they strategized, the storm slowly began to ease, the clouds loosening their grip on the rain. The atmosphere surrounding them shifted from a fearful downpour to a hopeful calm. Emily felt the rejuvenating effect in her bones, a reminder of the magic that had grown between the slides and swings in that playground many years ago. It wasn't just about swing sets or climbing walls, it was about building community, creating a safe haven for every child who had ever played there. Hours blended into moments as they worked. The murmur of voices surged with newfound energy, people stepping forward to share their memories, their connection to the playground. Old and young, everyone chimed in, weaving tales that pulled at hearts. Emily couldn't help but smile, feeling the camaraderie brewing like a gentle storm. Then, in the middle of it all, Emily heard her own name echoing. It was Jack, waving her over. "Emily, you need to see this," he called. Curiosity piqued, she hurried over to him. He was pointing at a young girl who clutched a worn-out teddy bear, her big eyes shining with earnestness. "She wants to speak." Emily bent down to the girl's level. "What's your name?" "Lucy," she replied, a soft lisp catching Emily's heart. "I love playing in the playground. It's South my favorite place. Do you have a story you want to share?" Emily encouraged. Lucy nodded vigorously. "The swings. They help me fly. When I'm up high, I feel like I can touch the sky." A wave of emotion washed over Emily. This was at the heart of their mission. Not just for the grown-ups, but for the children like Lucy who needed this place the most. "Let's make sure everyone can fly again," Emily declared, grateful for the urgency that pulsed through her. As the gathering began to chant support, David turned to Emily. "See? This is what I'm talking about. We're building something beautiful here." But just then, the wind shifted, a chill cutting through the warmth of the moment as a low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, and a shadow fell over the crowd. Emily's heart dropped, she could feel things teetering on the edge. "Something is coming," she whispered, her pulse quickening. David's expression hardened, foreboding resting on his brow. "What do you think it is?" Emily didn't have an answer, but the question hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. She knew deep down that they were just beginning to fight for their dream. Would they be able to keep this momentum going? What challenges awaited them before they could finally seal their fate with the playground? It felt like the calm before another storm. The air was thick with anticipation as the last remnants of the storm drifted away, leaving behind puddles that reflected the gathering crowd's anxious faces. Emily's heart raced, a fusion of hope and fear. She scanned the horizon, looking for the source of the chill that had crept into their sanctuary. What could disrupt this fragile moment? "Maybe it's just the weather," David suggested, trying to dispel the tension that hung between them. But deep down, both of them sensed something more was brewing, something beyond the rain, something potentially dangerous. Lucy tugged at Emily's sleeve, her small form wrapped in determination. "Are they going to take the playground away?" she pleaded. Her innocent question hit Emily like a cold wave, washing away her optimism. "No, Lucy," she whispered, kneeling down to meet the girl's worried gaze. "Not if we can help it. We're going to fight for it together." Behind them, Jack stepped forward, rallying the others. "Let us show them what this playground means to us. Everyone, come and share your stories. Let us make some noise." His voice boomed with fervor, cutting through the palpable tension. One by one, members of the community began to stand, drawing strength from their shared memories. Families recounted moments of laughter, of scraped knees healed with kisses, of friendships forged on swings. The deeper they dove, the more the fear melted away, replaced by a collective warmth igniting the crowd. "This playground taught my son to share," a father said, his eyes gleaming. "It showed him what it means to be part of a community. And my daughter learned to ride her bike right here," cried a middle-aged woman, her voice trembling with emotion. "She fell so many times, but the playground kept calling her back. As the stories rolled in, something unexpected happened. The air, which had felt imbued with static tension just moments before, transformed almost like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. Emily could feel the wind shift, lifting their spirits along with it. Laughter mixed with tears, and in those shared moments, the crowd became a tapestry of hope and resilience. Yet, just as joy blossomed, the ominous shadow returned. A figure strode through the gathered crowd, tall and authoritative. Emily's heartbeat quickened as she recognized the mayor, a steely expression on his face. The cheers died down, replaced by a buzz of speculation as he approached. "Emily," he said, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. "I need to talk to you." "What is going on?" she asked, veiling her concern with bravado. The mayor pulled her aside, his brow furrowed. "We're facing pressure from developers. If we can't demonstrate the playground's value beyond nostalgia, we may lose it." Her heart sank. "But we're gathering stories, we're fighting for it." He shook his head, raising a hand to calm her. "You need something more. Something that people out there will understand. You have until next week's council meeting." David stepped up behind her, concern etched on his face. "What are we supposed to do?" "Simply talk. We need resources, we need support." As the mayor turned to leave, he paused, his gaze softening. "Maybe there's a way. I'll see what I can do, but I can't promise anything." With that, he walked away, leaving behind uncertainty. Emily turned back to the crowd, catching Jack's eye. A silent understanding passed between them, but the urgency gripped Emily's heart. They had to mobilize, push their stories into something that wouldn't just tug at heartstrings, but also pull in dollars and decisions. "Listen up, everyone!" Emily shouted, finding her voice slicing through the unease. "We need volunteers, ideas, any connections you might have together, we can make this happen. Let us show them what this playground means, let us not let it fade away." A ripple of passionate encouragement flared up as people began to nod and murmur their support. The fear was still there, shadowing over them, but it was clear their shared determination had transformed into something unshakable. As the crowd broke into animated discussions about actions they could take, Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. They were on the brink of something much bigger than they had imagined. But what awaited at the council meeting, and would their stories be enough? The air buzzed with the tension of possibility. The following week arrived with purpose, a sharp contrast to the desperate confusion from just days before. Emily stood at the playground, flanked by Jack and David, reviewing notes for their presentation. The atmosphere buzzed with a sense of impending change as families gathered, each person a vital piece in their shared puzzle. "Remember, it's not just about our stories," David reminded the group, his voice steady. "It's about how we frame them. This park is our community's heartbeat. Let us ensure they hear that." Emily nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "Every memory we share demonstrates what's at stake. We need the council to feel our connection to this place." As night fell, they crowded into the community center, the excitement palpable. Emily glanced around at the faces she had come to know so well, their smiles, their worries, their dreams were now intricately linked to her own. With each passing minute, more faces appeared, bringing their own stories, parents, children, even some elders who had played there decades ago. Emily stood on the small stage, heart pounding. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice filling the room. "Tonight, we're sharing our stories to protect what we love." One by one, the crowd stepped forward, recounting cherished experiences: the girl who learned to fly on the swings, the father who taught his son how to ride without training wheels beneath the watchful eye of the slides. Their laughter, punctuated by tears, shared a collective love for a place where childhood dreams blossomed. Jack listened intently, his presence a pillar of support. He saw the passion and sincerity in their voices. This was more than an argument for a playground, it was a call for community, connection, and resilience. When it was his turn, he stepped up, visibly moved. I came into this community as an outsider, but I'm committed to protecting not just this playground, but the spirit that binds us all. Together, we create strength. Together, we resist being defined by mere budgets and numbers." A loud cheer erupted, filling the room with energy. Lights flickered above, highlighting Emily's glow as she looked on, pride welling in her chest. Finally, Lucy took the stage, holding her teddy bear tight. "I don't want to lose my favorite place," she said, her voice small but filled with resolve. "When I'm here, I'm happy. Can we keep it?" Tears prickled in Emily's eyes. This child's innocence illuminated the stakes of their battle. Jack leaned over to whisper, "This is the heart of it all. We need to remember why we're here." As the gathering wrapped up, David stepped forward. "We have until the council meeting next week to frame this properly. I'll be sharing our petition. We need everyone's support." Emily felt their unity forge into something stronger, ignited by hope. They were standing as a family, a chorus echoing what they believed in. The day of the council meeting came, and the tension hung heavy in the air. They marched into the dimly lit room, a sea of faces ready to fight for their playground. Emily's heart raced, adrenaline thrumming through her veins. Speeches began, each person who stood before the council sharing a piece of their soul, a glimpse at how this small patch of playground shaped their lives. As they spoke, the council members' expressions shifted from indifference to understanding, their hardened faces beginning to soften. Emily's turn arrived, and she approached the podium, shaking. She took a deep breath, her heart in her throat as she scanned the room filled with parents, kids, and those who came together not just in opposition of the budget cuts, but in a celebration of community. "This playground means everything to us. It's where we laughed, cried, played, and grown. It's a place that offers hope, connection, and dreams. If we lose this, we lose our unity too. We cannot allow that to happen." As she spoke, uncertainty washed away with conviction. Each person present could feel the resonance of her words, a collective heartbeat pounding for what was right. When the meeting concluded, Emily left feeling lighter. The response from the council was still pending, but they shared their truth, their stories. That alone was worth fighting for. Jack called out, "No matter their decision, we've shown them what matters." David nodded in agreement, pride shimmering in his eyes. "It's just the start. We've forged connections that can't be undone." As families embraced each other in the steps of the community center, hope renewed in Emily's heart. Days passed, and the news reached them like a wave crashing in slow motion, a unanimous decision. The council voted to fund community projects, including the playground. Though tears filled Emily's eyes, it was joy, pure and unadulterated. That day, she understood what it meant to be part of something larger than oneself. Jack and David joined her, sharing in the triumph. "This is just the beginning," David declared. "Let us keep working together to strengthen the heart of our community." Emily nodded, her heart brimming with gratitude and possibility. Here, beneath the swings and slides, they had uncovered something invaluable, the true essence of community. Together, they would ensure it only grew and the playground would thrive on laughter, memories, and a deeply rooted sense of belonging. "Onward!" she exclaimed, smiling brightly, high-fiving Lucy and reveling in their shared triumph. And there, at the playground, the sun broke through the clouds, a symbol of hope for future generations, a place forever known for where dreams don't just reside but take flight. As they stood together, hand in hand, it became clear, they had not only saved a playground, but they had rekindled a community spirit that would carry them forward, if ever the storm clouds reappeared again. So here we are, celebrating together. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, your support makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this transformative journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting story. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of empowering these narratives.